Good afternoon, students. I hope you are all fine, and I believe that the online classes are very useful to you all. In the last class, we have learnt 6th unit supplementary reader, The Little Hero of Holland, written by Mary Mapps Dodge. In this story, we learnt that Holland is a peculiar country because it is below the sea level. High walls called dikes are built to prevent the seawater from entering the land. A leak in the dikes will cause great danger. A boy called Peter went to give cake to his friend, a blind man. While returning home through the dikes in the evening, he hears a tinkling sound of water. He finds a leak in the dikes. He shouts to inform the people, but nobody comes. He keeps his finger on the tiny hole to stop the leaking water. He spends the night keeping his finger on the hole. His mother thinks that he has stayed with his friend. In the morning, a man finds Peter keeping his finger on the hole. News spreads in the village. Peter is saved. Thus, Peter is hailed as a hero. The story, The Little Hero of Holland, pictures the unconditional love of a little boy towards his country and his people. This is what we learn from that lesson. And today we are going to learn 7th unit supplement reader, A Dilemma, written by Silas Ware Mitchell. Let's see about the author. Silas Ware Mitchell, 1829 to 1914, was a neurologist by profession. He was among the famous physicians of his time and a prolific writer of both scientific and literary works. He was born in Philadelphia, studied at the University of Pennsylvania, and received the degree of MD in 1850. He is considered the father of neurology as well as a pioneer in scientific medicine. He published more than 25 literary titles, and his medicinal experience and background enabled him to write historical fiction with much psychological insight. Many honorary degrees were conferred upon him by several universities at home and abroad. The American Academy of Neurology Award for Young Researchers is named after him. The mind map of the story. Tom's uncle Philip was a bachelor living alone. He gave Tom an iron box with precious gems. The box contained an interesting mechanism. If Tom opened it with doubt, it would explode. Tom tried all possible ways to open the box without being killed. He read books on dynamite, consulted the technicians, doctors, and religious priests, but he could not succeed. At last, he bequeathed the box to the society. Bequeath means he gave the box to the society. Let's see the character of this story. Tom, the narrator, poor clerk. Philip, Tom's uncle, mechanical engineer. Susan, Tom's lady love. Dr. Scarp, Uncle Philip's doctor. Professor Clinch, consultant. Dear students, let's see the synopsis of this story. Uncle Philip was a bachelor, cunning and malicious, living alone. He was much interested in collecting valuable gems and pearls. On his deathbed, he called Tom. Being the sole heir to the family, he handed over the iron box containing valuable gems and pearls and warned them to be careful while opening the box, as there was a dynamite in it. After his death, the box became a headache for Tom. He read books on dynamite, consulted the technicians, doctors, and religious priests. His salary was reduced. The landlady sent him away. He was afraid of the succession tax. He met with failure. Finally, he donated the box to the Human Vivisection Center. The title of the story is A Dilemma, written by Silas Ward Mitchell. A dilemma means confusion. In this lesson, the author Tom has a iron box which is given by his uncle Philip. So he has confusion whether to open the box or not to open. So let's read line by line and understand the meaning of the story. In this story, the author is narrator of the story. The author is none other than Tom. I was just 37 when my uncle Philip died. A week before that event, he sent for me. Tom says, I was just 37 when my uncle Philip died. A week before his uncle's death, his uncle called him to meet him. A week before that event, he sent for me. And also he says, when he asked me to meet his uncle, and here let me say that I had never set eyes on him. Tom says he didn't visited him. He didn't went to visit his uncle. So that's what he says. I had never set eyes on him. He hated my mothers, but I do not know why. The reason, his uncle Philip hates his mother, and also Tom says, I do not know why he is hating my mother. She told me long before his last illness that I need expect nothing from my father's brother. My mother clearly told me, don't expect anything from your father's father, which means your uncle Philip. So he was an inventor. His uncle Philip was an inventor, an able and ingenious, a clever mechanical engineer, and had much money by his improvement in turbine wheels. Through improvement in turbine wheels, he earned a lot of money. He was a bachelor. He didn't get marry any women. Lived alone, cooked his own meal, and collected precious stones. Precious stones means like we make ornaments, jewelry, especially rubies and pearls. He had a habit of collecting these stones, especially rubies and pearls. From the time he made his first money, he had this mania. Mania means persistence desire. As he grew richer, the desire to possess rare and costly gems became stronger. So he collected that pearls and rubies and he earned money lot. Then he became richer and also the desire to possess rare and costly gems became stronger. He started collecting more and more the stones, the precious stones, which is rubies and pearls. When he bought a new stone, he carried in his pocket for a month. Now and then took it out and looked at it. So whenever he bought a new stone, he used to carry in his pocket. Every now and then he just take out and took it out and looked at it. Then it was added to the collection in his safe at trust company. We also in the bank locker we used to keep some jewels or precious things. Like he also collected that at last he kept us at the trust company. At the time he sent for me, I was a clerk. So now Tom says, when my uncle Philip asked me to meet him, at that time I was a clerk and poor enough. So, and also Tom says he is very poor. Remembering my mother's word, his mother already told, don't expect anything from your uncle Philip. His message gave me his sole relative. But He wanted to meet me. The reason is I am his relative, sole relative, only one relative. So no new hopes. I didn't have any hopes on him that he will give something or not like that. But I thought it best to go. So at last, I thought myself it's best to go. So when I sat down, so I went there. Then I sat down by his bedside. He was on the bed. So I went down by his bedside. He began with a malicious grin. Malicious means intended to harm or upset someone. So he started grinning at me. I suppose you think me queer. I will explain. What he said was certainly queer enough. So his uncle said that you may think it queer. Queer means you may think me strange, but I will explain. What he said was certainly quiet. Then Tom says, while he spoke like that, that made me quiet. That made me strange. I have been living on an annuity. Annuity means, so we deposit some money, fortune in the bank. Through that, we earn some interest. At the end of the year, we earn some interest. So that is called annuity, into which I put my fortune. In other words, I have been as to money concentric half of my life to enable me to be as eccentric as I plead the rest of it. What is trying to say is, he says that I am living by my annuity, and also he says that I spent my life, half of my life, earning money only. For money minded, I have spent, and I led my life, half of my life, just because of money, to collect money, something like that. So for that pleased me. So now I repent of my wickedness. Now I realize my wickedness to you all, and decide to live in the memory of at least one of my family. So now I am going to die. So before I die, I just want to help one of our family. You think I am poor. You may think that I am poor and have only my annuity. You may think that. You will be profitably surprised. But if I say, you will be surprised. I have never parted with my precious stones. Then Uncle Philip is saying about his precious stones. They will be yours. He says that I have a lot of precious stones. They all mine. Now it is going to be yours. You are my sole heir. That means you are like my son. I shall carry with me to the other world the satisfaction of making one man happy. Uncle Philip says that if I make you happy, I just want to give this thing to you. So that satisfaction is enough for me. With that, I may die and I may go to other world. He said like that. So I just want to help you. No doubt you have always had expectation, and I desire that you should continue to expect. Then Uncle Philip says that don't doubt on me that you always had expectation, and I desire that you should continue to expect. My jewels are in my safe. And also he says all the jewels are in a safe. There is nothing else left. I didn't give to anywhere. Everything is safe. When I thanked him, then Tom started thanking him. He grinned. Again he laughed all over his lean face and said, you will have to pay for my funeral. Then Uncle Philip said that I have precious stones, rubies and pearls. They are all going to be yours, but you will have to pay for my funeral. After my death, you need to take care of all the expensive, the burial things. Then I must say that I never looked forward to any expenditure with more pleasure than to what it would cost me to put him away in the earth as I rose to go, he said. So when his uncle Philip said like that, and Tom says he is not happy to spend money expenditure. But here he thinks that with more pleasure than to what it would cost me to put him away in the earth, he is happy. And also, as I rose to go, when Tom rose to go home, he said, "The rubies are valuable." Uncle Philip said, "The rubies are valuable. They are in my safe at the trust company. I kept in the trust company. They are very safe. Before you unlock the box, so when you go and when you try to open the box, be very careful to read a letter which lies on top of it. So on the top of that box, I have kept a letter. So you carefully you read that and be sure not to shake the box. Don't shake the box." I thought this ode. So when he said, Tom thought this is like ode means strange. Why he is telling that not to shake the box? Okay, don't come back. Then Uncle Philip said, "Don't come back. It won't hasten things. You go and hurry up all things." Then he died that day next week. The same day that he died in the next week, Uncle Philip died and was handsomely buried. Tom spent all the expenses which he saved his own money. The day after, his will was found. Will means like a legal. Legally, he has wrote. He will means he wished to give his property to leaving Tom as his heir. So I opened his safe. So he took the will and he went to the trust company and he opened safe and found on it nothing but an iron box, evidently of his own making. So that box was made by my uncle Philip, for he was a skilled workman and very ingenious. He is very clever and he is a skilled workman. So Uncle Philip himself made that box. The box was heavy and strong. It was very heavy and strong, about 10 inches long, 8 inches wide, and 10 inches high. So on it lay a letter to me. It ran thus. So there was a letter above on the box. "Dear Tom, this box contains a large number of very fine pigeon blood, rubies, and a fair lot of diamonds." He has written like that: "Dear Tom, this box contains a large number of very fine pigeon blood rubies and a fair lot of diamonds, and one blue is a beauty. There are hundreds of pearls, one the famous green pearl, and a necklace of blue pearls, for which any woman would sell her soul or her affections." I thought of Susan. Susan is Tom's is going to marry. "I wish you to continue to have expectations." Then Uncle Philip wrote like that: "You should have expectation and continuously to remember your dear uncle. I would have left these stones to some charity. I would have left these stones to some charity, but I hate the poor as much as I hate your mother's son. Yes, rather more. The box contains an interesting mechanism which will act with certainty as you unlock it and explode 10 ounces of my improved supersensitive dynamite. No, to be accurate, there are only 9.5 ounces. Doubt me? Open it." So his uncle Philip wrote like that: "If you open the box, open the box with careful. It may explode because supersensitive dynamite." So in simply, I want to tell that he has a fixed bomb in the box. If you shake means that will explode or it will burst. "If you doubt me," he says that, "doubt me and open it and you will be blown to atoms. Believe me and you will continue to nourish expectation which will never be fulfilled. As a considerate man, I counsel extreme care in handling the box. Don't forget your affectionate uncle." This is what written in that letter. Tom stood appalled. Appalled means shocking or horrified. The key in my hand. Was it true? Was it a lie? I had spent all my savings on the funeral and was poorer than ever. Now he was he was horrified. He was shocked, and he has key. And he asked himself, was it true or was it a lie? That means whether it has a bomb or not. Like that, he suspected. And also believing his uncle's flip word, he spent all his savings for the funeral. And now he was very poorer than ever. Remembering the old man's oddity, his uncle's strange behavior, his malice, his cleverness in mechanic arts, and that patent explosive which had helped to make him rich, I began to feel how very likely it was that he had told the truth in his cruel letter. I carried the iron box away to my lodgings. Lodgings means to his room where he was staying. Set it down with care in a closet he kept in the cupboard. Laid the key on it and locked the closet means cupboard. He locked. Then I sat down as yet hopeful and began to exert my ingenuity upon ways of opening the box without being killed. There must be a way. So I just want to cleverly, I just want to open the box without being killed. There may be have some, there must be have a way to open the box. So he was trying to open the box. After he was thinking to open the box, after a week of vain thinking, he was thinking, I bethought me one day that it would be easy to explode the box by unlock it at a safe distance, and I arranged a plan with wires. So Tom arranged, he was planning to keep that iron box in a safe distance and with connected with the wires which seemed as if it would answer. He wanted to open in a safely keeping in distance. But when I reflected, he thought on what would happen when the dynamite scattered the rubies. If the dynamite will explode, means the rubies will scatter. It will ruin. It will become a. It will blown as atoms. I knew that I should be none the richer. Tom says, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. If rubies will vanish or ruin, how I should become a rich. So he said that for hours at a time, I sat looking that box handling the key. So he was simply kept the key on his hand, and he was keep on thinking to open the box in a safely. At last I hung the key on my watch guard. So he hung the key his anchor, but then it occurred to me that it might be lost or stolen. If anyone will come and taken the box, means what we will do if you lost or stolen. Dreading this, that made him scaring. I hid it, so he hid, and also fearful that someone might use it to open the box. If anyone comes, he will open the box. This state of doubt, he had a doubt and fear lasted for weeks. He was scaring with that box until I became nervous and began to dread that some accident might happen to that box. A burglar might come and boldly carry it away and force it open and find it was a wicked fraud of my uncle's. If any burglar comes, if he opens, means all will go in vain. So even the rumble and vibration caused by the heavy vans in the street became at last a terror. So he was scaring. If a heavy vehicle will go in his street, and that will make a vibration, so through that vibration the box may explode. So he was thinking, and he is getting afraid. Worst of all, my salary was reduced. So he was keep on keeping that box and having that key, and he is thinking, keep on thinking how to open, open, and he plans in many ways, but he didn't open that. So while he was doing so, worst of all, my salary was reduced, and I saw that marriage was out of the question. Susan also, their engagement has held both of them, but now it is questionable. Tom says like this: in my despair, that means he didn't have any hope. I consulted Professor Clinch about my dilemma. So he has a dilemma means in the earlier I said that confusion whether to open the box or not to open. He wanted to open, but he has a confusion. So that is called dilemma. And as to some safe way of getting at the rubies, he said that if my uncle had not lied, there was none that would not ruin the stones, especially the pearls, but that it was a silly tale and altogether incredible. Incredible means impossible to believe. Then when he heard, Professor Clinch heard about this, his uncle's plan, professor said it is incredible. This is and also silly tale. He said, I offered him the biggest ruby if he wished to test his opinion. Then Tom says that I ready to give some rubies to Professor Clinch. But he said he did not decide to do so. So I don't want to do this. And also this is silly tale. This is like a cockbull story. Your uncle is cheating you. Indirectly he said like that. But Tom didn't hear that one. Then next he went to the doctor's cop. My uncle's doctor believed the old man's letter and added a caution, and also he said that he gave me caution which was entirely useless. He said that this is useless, for by this time I was afraid to be in the room with that terrible box. So he also said that is a useless. Don't believe your uncle's word, and this is what you are trying to do is useless, he said. But Tom kept the box with him, and with a terrible he was planning to open the box. At last the doctor kindly warned me that I was in danger of losing my mind with too much thought about my rubies, in fact. So doctor also gave warn to Tom, you are losing your mind. You are thinking too much about your rubies. I did nothing else but contrary means I just made another plan. Contrary means made wild plans to get them safely. I made one after another, cook up or hatch up the plans. I spent all my spare hours at one of the great libraries reading about dynamite. So Tom went to one of the libraries. He started reading about dynamite, how to solve the dynamite. Indeed, I talked of it until the library attendants, believing me a lunatic or a dynamite fiend, declined to humor me and spoke to the police. I suspect that for a while I was shadowed as a suspicious and possibly criminal character. I gave up the libraries and becoming more and more fearful, set my precious box on a down pillow, so fear of its being shaken. For at this time, even the absurd possibility of its being disturbed by an earthquake troubled me. I tried to calculate the amount of shake needed to explode my box. Here, what Tom says is, so when he went inside the library to study about the dynamite, the library attendant started suspected him that much he was spending time there, and also studying in the dynamite is like a criminal character. So he started to complain to the police. So from there also he came out of that libraries, and again he kept the box under the pillow, but the fear of its being shaken, so he thought about if earthquake would occur, so how much of wave or shake needed to explode my box. He started calculate that amount of shake. The old doctor, when I saw him again, begged me to give up all thought of the matter. So again I met the doctor, and doctor said he begged me to give up doctor told me to give up this idea of opening the box and thought of matter. And I has felt how completely I was the slave of one cruel, despotic means cruel idea. I tried to take good advice thus given me. So I also realized a bit, and also I said myself I should have take this good advice given by me. Unhappily, I found soon after, between the leaves of my uncle's Bible, a numbered list of stones with their cost and much beside. It was dated 2 years before my uncle's death. Many of the stones were well known and their enormous value amazed me. So one of his uncle's Bible there is written the cost of the stones, and also their enormous value amazed me. Several of the rubies were described with care, and curious histories of them were given in detail. One was said to be the famous Sunset Ruby, which had belonged to the Empress Queen Maria Theresa. One was called the Blood Ruby, not as was explained because of the color, but on account of the murders it had occasioned. Now, as I read, it seemed again the threatened death. So he was keep on reading and believing his uncle Tom. The, the pearls were described with care as an unequaled collections. Concerning two of them, my uncle has written that I might call biographies, for indeed they seem to have done much evil and some good. One, a black pearl, was mentioned in an old bill of sale as she, which seemed queer to me. That was strange to me. It was maddening. Here, guarded by vision, a sudden death was wealth beyond the dreams of avarice. That means greed, avarice, greed. I am not a clever or ingenious man. Tom says that I am not a clever or I am not a ingenious man. I know little beyond how to keep a ledger, and so was, and I am no doubt absurd about many of my notions as to how to solve this riddle. At one time, I thought of finding a man who would take the risk of unlocking the box, but what right had I to subject anyone else to the trial I dared not face? So I scared that one. I just want to make one person to open, but that also I dared, and I didn't execute that plan. I could easily drop the box from height somewhere, and if it did not explode, could then safely unlock it. So I plan to uh, put it down from the high place, but it would didn't blew up when it fell. Goodbye to my rubies. If it explodes means I need to say that goodbye to my rubies. Then I am not going to be rich. I won't get any rubies or pearls. Mine indeed, I was rich and I was not. So he said that I want to be rich. Keep on, he was thinking. I grew thin and morbid and so miserable that I at last carried my troubles to my father, confessor, in the church priest. He thought it simply a cruel jest of my uncle's. Jest means your uncle is joking, he is making fun. The church priest said like that, but was not too eager for another world as to be willing to open my box. So, even though the church pastor, the priest, he said that your uncle is making a cruel jest of you, then though priest said the truth, but Tom not give up the box. He is willing to open the box anyhow. He too counseled me to cease thinking about it, and also he gave counsel. Cease about means stop, give up. Good heavens, I dreamed about it. Not to think about it was impossible. Neither my own thought, nor science, nor religion had been able to assist me. 2 years have gone by, and I am one of the richest men in the city, and I have no more money than will keep me alive. Susan said I was half cracked. That means I lost my mind. Uncle Philip, like Uncle Philip, and I broke off her engagement. Our engagement also broke up. In my disappear, I advertised in the Journal of Science and have had absurd schemes sent by the dozen. At last, as I talked too much about it, the thing became so well known that when I put the horror in the safe in a bank, I was promptly desired to withdraw it. I was in constant fear of burglars, and my landlady gave me notice to leave the house because no one would stay in the house with that box. So the house owner also sent him out. Landlady means house owner. I am now advised to print my story and wait arise from the ingenuity of American mind. I have moved into the suburbs and hidden the box and changed my name and my occupation. Tom went to the suburban area and also he hid the box and he changed the occupation and his name. This I did to escape the curiosity of the reporters. I have to say that when the government officials came to hear my inheritance, they were reasonably decided to collect the succession tax of my uncle's estate. So the government came to collect the succession tax on his uncles, on behalf of his uncles. So they came to collect to Tom. I was delighted. Tom was delighted to assist them. I told the collector my story. So Tom started saying his story with that box. What did his uncle Philip said and everything, and showed him Uncle Philip's letter. Then I offered him the key. Then Tom gave the key as well as box to the collector and asked for time to get half a mile away. Take it from half mile away, then you open it. He said like that to the collector. That man said he would think it over and come back later. But the collector said that okay, I will come back later sometime. So he went out. This is all I have to say. Tom says, this is how I have to say. I have made a will and left my rubies. Then Tom made a will that he wished to give the rubies and pearls to the society for the preservations of human vivisections. If any man thinks this account a joke or an invention, let him coldly imagine this situation. So at last Tom he wished to give that box to the society for the preservation of human vivisections. And also he said that if anyone thinks this is like an inventor or any situation, given an iron box known to the contain wealth and to contain dynamite arranged to explode, when the key is used to unlock it, what would any sane man do? What would he advise? What trying to say is, Tom is saying that I have a box and box full of rubies and pearls. At the same time, there is a dynamite. When you trying to open, there is a bomb. If it would explode, the key also you have. So what would you, any sane man do? Any knowledgeable person, what he will do and what he will advise. So he is concluding the story in these questions. So dear student, read the link given below and do the assignments. Thank you.